Yeah. We back. Welcome to the Brothers in Influence podcast, where we stand to encourage, inspire, and add value to Black men in the areas of life, leadership, and community. We consist of 5 brothers discussing relevant topics with candor and care. Thank you for tuning in. What do I say? Man, my name is Ian Williams, your purpose coach. You can find me on Twitter at Son of the King 02 and on Instagram at Ian Coaches. Man, as you could probably tell, man, I'm just excited. This is episode what, 23? The big 2-3?
23
in Bulls Dynasty territory. Michael Jordan. Hey, it's only up from here. Hey, and as usual, I need to kind of get low. It's shoulder to shoulder with 2 giants, 2 men,
we go.
Integrity and dignity, power.
Yeah.
Just waiting to drop some knowledge on us today. And I have an opportunity. I'm humbled. And what do you say? Abased.
I ain't paying for that neither. I ain't even paying y'all. I ain't paying.
That's the opportunity. Create a space.
He said I ain't paying for that one.
These men can introduce themselves to us.
Right. I am Shawty Price. I am your thought coach, because thoughts become things, and when you learn how to take the thoughts you have about what you want to do and put them in the proper perspective in your life, you're able to make your vision come alive. You can find me with my name, Shawty Price, on all social media networks. My man Sherrod has the ball.
All right, thank you, man. My name is Sherrod Ledet. I am your leadership locksmith. I help you identify your true leadership identity. I turn leaders into legacies. You can find me on all social media platforms. So yeah, I'm excited. Just like my man, I'm excited. Excited. But I have to be honest. I'm a little down, a little tired, little bit. But I'm pretty sure by the time we get into this thing, you know me, I get in and do it.
Oh yeah,
I'll be ready to go.
There you go. Love it. All right, now y'all calm down out there. I know these men are great, but we can't hear them if y'all keep clapping.
I'm gonna be into the punch today. How was your week, brother?
My man, because he always be trying to lead off. He be like, "So how's everybody?" Nah, you lead us off, big bro.
Oh man, it's amazing. It's a beautiful season. But with the seasons come allergies, and so I'm struggling right now.
I hear you over there because he's trying to breathe and talk at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. So I had a great weekend. I'd love to share a little bit about that. I mean, I'm just doing great, man. I'm grateful to be alive. Grateful to have a beautiful wife and son, and have my parents. My father stays here. He's alive and well, and he's out grilling himself a T-bone right now. So, it's a little thing. I ain't getting no steak, but I'm gonna still be grateful.
You like how he slid that in though, right? He's like, I'm grateful. I'm not getting a steak though, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the.
I don't want y'all to feel like you happy for me. Like, oh, brother's getting the steak over there. On the grill. Well, yeah, it ain't for me. But what?
Maybe next week.
Yeah, no, man. when I pick it up on my grocery bill, that's when it'll be. But no, man, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. How y'all doing?
I'm good. Had good week. My lights was all out for 3 days, but hey, it is what it is. Had to
He
go
said
grocery
3
shopping.
days though.
Yeah. Hey, had to go grocery shopping again, but hey, it is what it is.
Like for real, they were there for like 3 days.
Yeah, from Thursday to Saturday. What happened was mine didn't go out, but from what I understand, they couldn't really figure out what was going on, so they kind of like cut everybody's stuff so they can fix everything.
Man, that's crazy.
Like,
they treated y'all like Christmas lights, you know, when you got like one bulb.
Yes,
exactly. All the other ones go out. Exactly.
Yeah, they said, "Hey, I don't know what the problem. Just cut everybody's lights off. Cut them all off."
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute.
Exactly.
Wow.
Like I woke up, everybody else's lights off, not mine. I come back after work, it's a wrap. It's like a boogeyman. I can't see nothing. So
yeah, all right. It was, Leadership Locksmith.
Considering it was good. Great week.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I ran into the same. We had a nice little storm up here. Matter of fact, over the weekend. I think it was like Saturday. Yeah, it was Saturday because I was at church but anyhow, we ended up losing power too. But it wasn't 3 days. It was like 30 minutes. So I mean, I ain't got your same testimony, brother. Right? It was only 30 minutes, not 3 days. But
hey, that's sometimes some people 30 minutes like 3 days. So hey, testify. Don't testify, brother.
Facts, right? That was a fact, right? That was a long 30 minutes.
I want to hear your testimony, not your testimony.
It was a long 30 minutes now, but yeah, so we lost power for a minute, but outside of that, man, it was a good weekend. Grilled out a little bit, didn't have no T-bone, but I did throw some chicken on there, some nice barbecue chicken. Did some of that, and then just kicked it with the family, right? So yeah, we did. It was straight. It was straight. Good stuff.
Yeah, man.
And baby girl. So I have to quit. I gotta stop talking. I can keep talking.
No.
Okay, well, cool. Because y'all asked. So baby girl got to go start school back. So we just got back. Matter of fact, before I jumped on here, went to orientation, right? And then that's my youngest. She's 5. She's 10, going into the 5th grade. And then my oldest, she goes back to college, or we drop her off this weekend, right? So that's what's going down over here.
That's what's up, man.
And then I'm just saying, think about so here's, you know what? Because I came on here and I told you I was a little tired and not on my game. Here's why. This whole COVID breakdown. Okay, so y'all know I own daycare, co-owner, and we get so we already having issues, bruh. Right. So let me just go ahead and just get it off my chest. Maybe I'll feel better once I get this out. Right. Go ahead, brother. So I'm a little frustrated, right? Because they just started school back in so we're in Scott County, Fayette County. They just started school back, so it's only been they're going on their first full week, right? Dude, and it's left and right. Kids are coming up out of they're already getting quarantined. So I had a whole situation today with the kids coming off the bus. There was somebody on there, and nobody has a solution. They're just constantly saying, "Hey, well, they quarantine, this quarantine, that quarantine." What's up? And it's just constant decisions. So it's a little frustrating. It's a little frustrating. Barry, what's going on, sir?
Yeah, man.
I'm better now.
Oh man, I can't imagine. Honestly. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is how you know these brothers are cut from different cloth, man. You know what I'm saying? They handling real world problems. You know what I'm saying? People are upset because they broke a nail. My man came on and said, yeah, my power was out 3 days. I had to buy some more groceries. It's so casual. You understand? He cut from differently. I'm back online now. I'm here. What's up? we got brothers, the Leadership Locksmith, managing a whole crisis. Well, I'm right. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay. I'm here.
Right, yeah.
Cut from a different cloth, boy.
It wasn't always like this.
No. Well, hey, that's interesting, right? Because everybody's crisis is not my crisis. Ain't your crisis, right? Ooh. Now, it doesn't mean that my crisis isn't any different or any less important or any less value of your crisis. But again, my crisis ain't your crisis. Right. So I think that's one thing that we got to remember. Again, so we can't belittle someone else's challenge thinking that, I could have solved that. That's cool. Right. Right. Yeah. We different walks of life, different experiences, different everything. Right. So, yeah, because here's the reality. Like my man said, he did 3 days without lights. I'm not really sure. I could have probably just came on here like, yeah, I just had to go buy groceries. I'd be like, Doc, I'm 3 days, no lights. Yeah, I'm through. So that means it was a cold shower, no hot water.
Well, you know, it lasted for a minute. That hot water, but not cold, but it lasted for a minute. But it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, so you gotta, So now
you got to think. So we talking about experience. So remember, I was in prison, so I ain't no cold shower like in prison.
All right,
you're in a pod with a whole bunch of guys, and about time it gets your turn, is a wrap. Ain't
right,
warm. None of that.
Hey, thank you for putting that in perspective, brother. You put that straight in perspective. But I love it though, right? Because again, his challenge, not my challenge, right? Yeah. His testimony, not my testimony.
And it goes back to why I could just say, yeah, it was 3 days, and yeah, I had to replace groceries, because one thing is, just in general, I'm grateful. Even though I didn't have lights, I got somewhere to lay my head. Even though I lost some groceries, I can go buy some groceries. It's people that can't do that.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
So one of the things is with me is, when I was in prison, I read that it was this course. I don't even remember what it is. I got a lot of information before I learned the importance of writing stuff down, and then also saying where I got it from. But it was this course. It was an old course, but they had it at the prison. I was watching it, and they broke down like change and the understanding the change, the pattern of change, and about things you can do stuff about and things you can't do stuff about, and looking at it like that. And what it taught me is that a lot of people, what they do is they spend all their time trying to change things they cannot do anything about, and the things they can change end up going by the wayside, and then they're back in the same boat as with the other stuff. Some stuff we just can't do anything about, and we got to recognize those things. There's still an issue. It might still be something going on. And I'm not saying you ignore those things, but some things you can't change. And if I can't change it, I need to deal with it based on that I can't change it. On these things I can change, just for instance, just say some bills. You can do something about some bills. Whether you can pay it all or not, you can do something about a bill. You can pick up a phone and say, hey, this is what's going on right now. All type of stuff. But a lot of people, they'll let that stuff go to the back burner. Then you get a shutoff notice for something. And now it's like you calling trying to say, hey, this is going on. No, we got to put stuff in proper perspective. Let me be quiet.
Now that's good, man. Y'all went so many different places.
You really did. That was good.
Y'all went so many different places, man. This is why self-awareness is so important, man, as we navigate, these challenges and different things like that. Because like what Brother Sherrod was alluding to, right? It's like, who defines a crisis? It's the person in the crisis. Always. It doesn't matter how seemingly big or small it looks from the outside. If a person feels like they're in crisis, then they're in crisis. That's like one of the most basic things that we can kind of learn, especially when we're trying to be supportive. But the problem is that that's not a natural lesson. Like, you gotta it's something you might have to be taught. It would be a very rare occasion for a person to naturally conclude and not center themselves in somebody else's problem and be like, you know what? I understand that you're in this place. But because you feel that way, I'm here for you. That's not a natural posture. But once you start a personal growth journey, this is why life and leadership is so important. Why we doing this podcast is you become aware of these things, and then you become accountable, right? But ultimately, it empowers you to navigate life and relationships much better, right? Like, you're not having to be the solution or come up with a solution, because you'll never be the solution anyway. But we always try to make ourselves. What we do is we try to make ourselves feel better by putting us in the situation and trying to solve it for us, the person. But what could end up being a solution for us may not be a solution for them, because it's their crisis.
That's good.
Man.
That's good. Yeah. And it's funny because what comes to mind, and it's funny, me and my dad were just talking yesterday, and I can't remember exactly how we got there, but we were just talking about, and I think we were just talking about like kind of what's going on, with the coronavirus and all this stuff, and, just the challenges. And, he was just putting things in perspective for me from the fact that, again, he's just happy that, again, he's healthy and safe, not discounting anyone else. Right. Mm-hmm. But he's like, good. I'm like, the reality of it is it could be a lot worse. Right. And what comes to mind is that the reality of it is it is one of two things that can be hard or they can be inconvenient. Now I'm jumping ahead and I'm about to give y'all something that me and my mom's working on, but it could be hard or it could be inconvenient. Right. And really, when you think about those two words, hard or inconvenient, is there anything really hard, right? Even in a crisis, is it really hard or is it inconvenient? Meaning that, again, are you always, again, to your point, Ian, am I looking for a solution? Am I trying to provide a solution? Trying to solve the problem when it's not even about solving the problem. It's not even about being right or wrong. It's about being able to experience what's going on and learn the lesson. Because the reality of it is, once you get through this crisis, there's another one around the corner, right? Your boy Murphy, he's always around, right? Murphy's Law, right? He's always just lurking. So I think you bring up a good point, and I love how we kind of just brought this all full circle, because there's never really a crisis that is all about, this is the solution. It's right, it's wrong. It's not about that. It's really about, okay, so where's the opportunity? And I think when you start having that mindset, and that goes back to, again, to self-awareness. Yeah. When I can look at a crisis or a situation and say, okay, what's the opportunity here? Now there's that just opens the door to a whole different perspective, because now it's not looking at it as a problem. It's saying, okay, where's the opportunity? And it's funny how when you start asking questions to a problem, right? When you ask a problem a question, you start to find out like it's not that serious.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's, continue on the vein of self-awareness. It's like self-awareness in the midst of crisis. That's kind of where we're going. And I think, right. And so we're talking about like the life and communication assessment. Like, one of the things that can help you with, right, is figuring out what your default posture is. Like, who are you when you're under pressure, right? But the fact of the matter is that many of us are walking around completely unaware of what that is. We are, because once we're under pressure, we just react. But when we want to figure out how to be our best selves in navigating challenges, it's possible, but you have to become aware of who you are in that situation, so that you can stretch and be flexible and adaptable to whatever your situation or circumstance is. And so, for example, if a person is more naturally decisive, then when they're under pressure, they might be like trying to make decisions for themselves and everybody else. On the other end of the spectrum, if they're less decisive, then they might just shut down and be like, I'm gonna stay right here. I'm not trying to make no decisions because I can make it worse. You know what I'm saying? If a person is more, people oriented, they might be more apt to seek help, whereas a person who's more conscientious might withdraw and they're problem solving, but they're trying to problem solve it all in their head, which could be good or bad. If you get stuck in your head, there's only so much you can see. There's only so much perspective you can gain, and so there's pros and cons, right? Whereas the person who just reaches out may never learn the lesson because they're always seeking help. And then, the other ones is like they just, if you're security minded and you feel like your security is threatened, you might ain't no telling what you'll do to try and get back to feeling safe or feeling secure, and that and that could be avoiding. You could just avoid the situation altogether, like you don't want to deal with it. You because that's how you maintain what seems like harmony in your life. But I actually, it reminds me, I was watching a video by Jason Wilson. I don't know if you got, I know Shaltae is familiar with Jason Wilson. He's an author. He's a mentor to boys in Detroit. He's got an amazing work called The Cave of Adullam, where he trains boys in martial arts, but the martial arts is a means to an end to teach boys discipline, self-control, self-awareness. Ultimately, he's developing young leaders. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But he was using a simple demonstration. So he uses martial arts to teach. And he was working with this young man, and he had a baton, maybe. I don't know the proper term for the weapon he was using, but he was swinging it, and he was trying to teach the boy to keep his eyes on the problem. And so what happens naturally is the boy is going to look at the baton and try to duck. But when you're looking at the weapon, you duck too soon. And so that gives the enemy the advantage, because then he could just bop you on the top of your head. You know what I'm saying? Well, he can telegraph the swing, and you're looking at the swing, you duck early, bow, right there on the back of your neck. Okay? So he had to tell him, no, but you keep your eyes on me. I'm the actual problem. The baton is the distraction. When you keep your eyes on me, you're going to know the exact time when to duck.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
And that's the gist of his impact with these young men. That's a prime example. He has another one too with his son, but he's reaching them where their heart is. That's what's real big with him. He's reaching them where their heart is. A lot of them don't have fathers, different things like that. Yeah. And he actually, his new book is coming out on the 20th. Oh, actually, a few days. So, called Battle Cry.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's the other thing too is since we're talking about the assessment is. We have muscles. Everyone's born with muscles. And I use this example where this is just something I seen from in prison. But years back, people out like in West Coast, California stuff, that's all they used to do is work out up top. They legs would be like sticks, but they would be buff and all that stuff. And those are the muscles they worked out. So it's the same thing with the assessment. When you like, I'm a CS, so those are the muscles I have. That's just who I am, and I'm more familiar with those muscles. I still have the other muscles that I can work out. They're not going to be as dominant because I'm used to working out certain muscles. You know, just like the person left-handed person, right-handed person. Generally, if you're right-handed, your right side is going to be stronger than your left side, and if it's a person that's left-handed, vice versa, their left side is just going to be stronger. Now you can work out to get both of them strong, but even then, one side is still going to be strong because that's your dominant side. And so, with the assessment, that's what you see. You see where your dominance is. You see where your gifting is in that area. I'm a shy person, but at the same time, if it's something I love and I'm interested in, like this podcast, I'm in here and you wouldn't know that, right? Because it's something I'm passionate about. But you take me somewhere, like if I had to go somewhere that I didn't care about, but my wife love it, you know, it's gonna be like he don't want to be here. Like we see men like that all the time, right? They don't want to be there, but they're there for a reason because they love their wives. Or what have you. So
yeah, man. It's tough because, like, you know, most of us don't even really realize that's how we respond when we're not plugged in. But like, you bring up the mirror, like a relationship like that, it's almost, once you become aware of it, you're like, oh man, I didn't even realize I look like that. I didn't realize I sounded like that. So,
right.
You know what I'm saying? For the sake of the relationship, it's like, I gotta get myself together, you know. Make it about her and less about whatever she got me doing.
Right.
And that's the key. I think you hit the nail on the head. That's where the disconnect is with us. Not, we love them. We know that we want whatever they want to do, we with it, but it's just changing that mindset on that point. It has nothing to do with the event. It has everything to do with them.
Right. Like, choose your attitude. Choose your attitude. But the problem is most of us ain't aware we got one. That's a problem.
That was me.
Yeah. Or
If my wife come on here, I'm just gonna I ain't gonna even listen because I can imagine.
Hey man, that's real, bro. For real.
yeah.
I mean, you know, sometimes my wife got to check me. She'd be like, "What's your problem?" Like, I ain't got no problem. What you mean?
You roll out that paper. Well, let's start right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But that's why self-awareness. That's why we're doing what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, and feel free to jump in the chat. Like if you guys got any examples, like type real in the chat, like if you feel where we're coming from, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you know, it's so vital, so essential, self-awareness to just not just leadership, but just overall development, right? Just overall achievement of, even if it attaches itself to everything. Because here's what I know. We all make decisions. We all interact with people.
Mm-hmm.
We all work within some type of environment, and we all operate with some type of policy or procedure. At any given point in time.
Right.
Any given point in time. Right? Because I mean, everything leads to another, because every decision that you make is going to impact someone. That decision that impacts that someone is then going to have an impact on the environment in which that you're in. And based on that environment and based on that person and the decision that was made, now there's going to be some type of procedure, policy, something of some sort that's going to take place because of the decision that we made that interacts and compacts or directly impacts a person or an environment. Because even in our decision making, it changes the dynamic of how we engage people, how we engage the environment, how we then utilize the resources at our disposal, right? And those be that of policy, procedures, and different things of that nature. So it's so intertwined. But again, it's when you know how you operate and how you can move within these different things, that's when you become not even all about success, but be effective.
Right.
Because when it's all said and done, that's really what we want to do. We want to be effective. We want to have impact. We want to be able to grow as an individual. And I think that's the thing about self-awareness. This the one time that you can be selfish and it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. Because you have to be, because it's self. Right. It's not other people. It's you.
Right.
The more I'm aware about who I am, the better I can then be for other people. Now this is where leadership comes into place, because now I can see how my decisions impact people. Now how my decisions are impacting the work environment in the space, how my decisions and how my interaction and how I'm creating all these things when we think about culture and things of this nature. Like it's just so great, but it's so intense too. Right. Because even like when my man Shate talked about, like, you know, and I mean the same way, attitude, right? I got an attitude, but here's the reality. You can't change something if you're not willing to face it.
There you go.
But you can't face it if you don't know it's a problem. Right. And that's what self-awareness is about. It's all about that self-assessment, really getting to know who you are, making the necessary adjustments and changes, right? So you can be better, not just for yourself, but for others as well.
TD Jake said, you can't heal what you're afraid to reveal. I remember when you said that. And what you were saying about just being about self-awareness and agreeing to say that's the time I can be selfish. Now, there's a right way to do it. And why did I know that? I've done it the wrong way. So, because I done went off and just did my thing and then talk about it later on. Mama, wife, like, well, you could have told me that you just off. I'm like, what you doing? What's going on?
Mhm.
So I just wanted to bring that up, right?
Yeah, no, I think
There's
that's it.
there's a right way to do it. So if
Mhm.
you know it's one of those times where it's about you and your self-awareness and you digging into that for yourself,
Yeah.
Mhm.
just let people know. Just
Yeah.
let them know. Whether it's work, whether it's home, whatever.
Yeah.
Just hey, I'm doing something right now. I just need a little time. I might seem like I'm off a little bit, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
So you will be able to do it without later on coming back like I did, and it's like, what's been going on? What you been doing?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
just want to throw that tidbit
For
out.
for a person who is reserved and naturally non-communicative, usually it's the communication that'll make all the difference.
Yeah.
It's like all you had to say was blase, blase, blase. We'd have been cool. But because you tried to, you know what I'm saying?
My wife here.
She kept- right, but you know what I'm saying? But it's a part of that awareness though. Once you're aware that you're non-communicative, the challenge is that it takes effort, but the effort is worth it, right? You're going to save yourself and those that you care about. You're going to save them some trouble. You're going to save yourself and those people you care about trouble.
Yeah, and you made a good point, man. Just real quick, like, because again, it's all about communication, but self-awareness shows you how to communicate, or at least helps you. Right. Helps you to communicate. Like if there is definitely anything that I know self-awareness has done for me, and just going through the assessment and going over it and just really embracing the tool and using that, right, and putting that within and being able to make the adjustments, it's in my communication. And it's crazy. Like, we should have used this when we talked about communication last week, because it's crazy. When you can effectively communicate, that changes the game to everything.
Right.
Because it's not even just about my ability to speak and entertain my audience or being able to articulate what it is I'm trying to tell you. It's also my ability to listen, to hear, right?
To connect.
And comprehend.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you start putting all those different aspects of communication into play, that you're now being able to articulate, now you're able to communicate, you're able to hear, you're able to comprehend, you're able to connect. Like, it changes all aspects. Like, it's almost like a 6th, the 7th to 8th sense, right? We have our 5 senses, but I mean, then you just break off into a whole nother realm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's powerful. And I wanted to even kind of just mention, like, I kind of live, I don't kind of live, I have a philosophy that I go by. Made me think about is when Shante was talking about just, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And not to say that that's wrong, because there is a right way and there's a wrong way. Let's not get it twisted, right? There's a right way and a wrong way. But for me, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about being effective now so I can experience the moment to be efficient in the future. Right. And the reason why I say that's a philosophy for me, because I'm never looking to say, okay, well, that's right, that's wrong, that's right. No, I'm looking to say, okay, how can I be effective? And what I think Shante was trying to say was that, again, there is a right or wrong way of doing things, but it's also because there's an effective way of doing things. There's an effective way and ineffective way of doing things. And when it comes to self-awareness, I think it's very important to identify the effective ways to really identify and really get into self-awareness to where you have the impact. Right. And the impact for yourself, but also for others.
Yeah. Because one of the major benefits is to growing in self-awareness and, going on this journey, is that as you become more aware of yourself, you become more aware of other people as well. Yeah. We talk about connections, connecting with people, the ways you connect, as in plural, because everybody's different, right? Meeting people where they are. If you want to call yourself a leader, if you want to make some sort of difference or an impact, then you got to meet people where they are and lead them from where they are. It doesn't matter how much you know or what you think. You got to really meet them where they are. A lot of people don't understand that, especially those that try to lead from position. You know what I'm saying? It's all about the title. You need to do what I say, bro. You ain't gonna get, you might get some production because, you know what I'm saying, homegirl won't keep her job, or you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you ain't gonna never get nowhere near what the potential of the person is.
Right. Yeah. And I love the fact that you said, again, being able to lead the person, right, and lead them from where they are. But at the same time, I think it's important to understand where they're trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, you can lead them from where they are, but if you don't know where they're trying to go or what their goals or what the end goal is, then where are you taking them?
Right.
And what you're doing, is it going to help them? Because you can lead them anywhere. But again, the goal is to help them get to their goal. Right. The goal is to get to the goal, right? To achieve the objective or whatever that looks like. So I think
magic happens when you can lead them and help them achieve what they want, and you can align it with what you want as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because if you help enough people get to what they want, right, then they will help you get what you want.
Right. And a lot of people are like, oh, that doesn't make sense. But it's perfect. It makes perfect sense, specifically from a leadership standpoint. Now, if you just talk about being a person on the street, that ain't gonna fly. But we talking about, you know what I'm saying, trying to achieve something, right? A lot of leaders out here, you know, I come from corporate, and so they're leading. It's like, okay, you need to meet these numbers. Well, why do I need to meet the numbers? Just because they said so, right? But when you can help them realize that their personal goals can feed into the company's overall larger goals, they're going to be much more successful.
Yeah. Where's the value being added, right? So it's all about, because here's the reality, right? Reality is this: you have to be able to connect with the person and be able to show them what the added benefit is to them. Because here's the reality: nobody really. That's nice that we're going to go in this direction. It's nice that, you know, we're going to earn all this money, but what does that mean for me? What am I getting out of the deal, right? When you look at the whole pie, right? It's funny because we were just talking about fractions at work, but anyhow, I digress. When you look at the whole pie, right? It's like, okay, so what piece do I get? Or how many pieces do I get? Right? When you're able to show them that, again, because of this is what we're trying to do. And you show them the whole picture, right? The whole pie and what they get from it, you get a completely different response. Right. And response versus reaction is what you want. You don't want them to react to something. You want them to respond, because if I respond, then I'm giving you basically the best part of myself, the best aspect, versus if I react, that's all emotional. You can't, it's not lasting. It's an effect. Right. So I hope that made sense. I don't know if I got off track a little bit. My bad if I did.
No. It makes sense. And it kind of actually made me think about something, a principle I kind of learned in prison. Because when I was on the street, it was always about money. You know, everything's about money. So if I can double my money, you know, or triple my money. But I learned how powerful interest or compound interest is versus me just doubling money. And one of the things is, either you give a person something like $1 million, or you give them a penny each day to double over 30 days. I can't remember exactly how it is, but the quick answer is, okay, give me that million or whatever it is. But those pennies added up to 3 or 4 times what that was. And that's what I found with people. That's how people tend to think. That's their thought process. They think in the let me double my money, or let me get my money and a half back, versus understanding the power of compound and the power of just investing in stocks and bonds, and how over 20-year period, you know, the stock market goes up and down, but when you look at it in the long run, you don't touch the money, you come up on top generally. So yeah, you kind of made me think about that. So you most definitely was making sense. And what do I always come back to? What wraps everything around is, you know, those values, right? Because everything it comes back to those values, is that core of who you are, and knowing what those things are, so that the things we've been talking about, you can manifest them in your life, right? You can be that person, that self-aware person that's standing on those principles that they believe in, whatever they are. You know, I can't judge your principles, but they're yours, your values. I can't judge your values, Now I know when I was on the street, I had some values that a lot of people didn't agree with because it was about money, women, clothes, and cars. That's all it was about. I tell people, this, they think I'm crazy, but I said my thing was when I was on the street. Now we talking about 25 years ago, but at the time, I wanted what was in between that woman's legs. I'm just being real, and so I'm gonna tell you whatever you need to hear for me to get what I wanted, and that's just the fact. That's just what it was, right? But that's where my values were. Even though at the same time, I knew I shouldn't be doing the things I do, right? But I made a conscious decision that, guess what? I would prefer this, and I'm going to do whatever I want to do to get it. So.
I mean, that's real. That's real. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, well, I think one of the things that we're saying without saying it is it's a journey, right?
Journey.
And the fact that we are now self-aware does not mean we always make the right decision or we always have the right attitude. But it does mean that we now have the power to check ourselves, right? And I'd rather check myself than somebody else do it. And it's as simple as that. So I may not get it right all the time, but I can also, check myself and pull myself out of my own mess if I have to. You know what I'm saying? Like it ain't gonna get so bad. You know what I'm saying? I think John says it, and I say it, and it's so funny to me. Like the way he says it's like you gotta scoop the poop before it comes a pile. I would love to think of a better way to say that, but I just can't do it. So Uncle John, man, we appreciate you. I mentioned John Maxwell.
Yeah,
you gotta scoop the poop before it becomes a pile.
Because the reality of it is what? It will.
Exactly.
It will.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
You said check yourself, and when you said it, the 3 letters had to check me. FBI. They ain't gonna never have to check me again. I'm checking myself from now on, and it's been pretty good. It's been 9 years. They ain't got to worry about me no more.
Yeah, man. I hear you, brother. I hear you. But you know what? It's the things that we've been through and the place that we've come to today in our leadership journey and our personal growth journey and our self-awareness that is allowing us to do what we do. And the greatest thing about it is like it's rooted in who we are, not just based on our experiences, but what we really feel called to do and the sort of difference we feel called to make. And I'm just so grateful that I get to get on here every week with you guys and live it out, And in fact, like, I mentioned earlier, like this past weekend, I got to serve a nonprofit organization who was putting on a youth summit for young leaders. And it was cool, man. And, I was out kind of like in this retreat space and it was out in the woods. That's why I'm all sneezy and coughy now, but that's okay. Because, that's the sacrifice I'm willing to make to really touch the lives of those young people who have a ton of promise. And, talking about self-awareness, like I'm reflecting on it because what I told them, one of the things I told them, I got to close the retreat and talk about leadership and everything that they learned. But like, it's evaluated experience that makes the difference, right? It's not just experience. You can experience stuff all day, but if you don't take the time to reflect, you ain't gonna learn very much at all. And so I'm reflecting on it now, and I'm like, oh man, my natural reserved personality was coming out, but it was kind of strategic, right? So I was just there, and I was doing the heavy lifting because I'm a big guy. Like, I'm working with all these people, and like, oh, you can lift the table. Yeah, I'll take the table over here, move this over here. You know what I'm saying? They probably could have just thought I was a janitor or something. And so I'm sitting in the back just taking all the lessons in that they're learning. The kids got taught financial literacy. They talked about resilience and mental health. They talked about cultural humility and diversity. They some great things, and the kids had some profound, like they engaged and responded and had some profound thoughts of their own to share throughout the process. And so at the end, I got to step up and I was like, hello, I'm that random guy that was just chilling in the back all this time. You know what I'm saying? My name is Ian. So, they got to know me. They got to know my name throughout the course of the day and all that stuff. But, what I'm saying? I was like, oh, I knew I was back there just chilling, like, being quiet. And then a lot of people, when they see me get up in those spaces, like Shante said, like I'm naturally reserved. So, and they're like, oh man, now you look like an extrovert. It's like, no, I'm not extrovert. I'm operating in my lane, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? In my lane, I come alive. You get to see the stuff that happens on the inside of me now on the outside. Whereas when I'm navigating the world, all this stuff just, you know what I'm saying, I'm just chilling, trying to live my best life.
Yeah. That's funny. Because it's, you know, even when I'm, you know, coaching clients and stuff, and I always ask them, because again, I always start off with the assessment and stuff. And I asked them, I was like, so, you know, based on kind of what we went over, you know, and kind of go over the discussion and ask them like, okay, you know what a D is, I, S, a C. I'm like, so do you know, what do you think about me? What do you think they'd be like, oh yeah, you're definitely I, like you just a people person and you just love the energy and all that. Yeah. I'm like, no, I'm not. They'd be like, what? But like you said, I'm in my lane. Right. When I get here, I mean, even right now being on the podcast, knowing that again, anybody can see me doing what it is I'm doing and I could be a complete bumbling idiot and it doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm in my lane. I love what I do. Right. Yeah. Being able to talk to people, to be able to give them, again, like you said, what's going on the inside comes on the outside. And I think that's just a great perspective, because with self-awareness, that's what happens. Right. Exactly. What goes on the inside? Because again, what's in you is going to come out of you. Right. Mm-hmm. What's in you is going to come out of you. Right. Yeah. And then let's even make it full circle. What you put in is also going to come out. And that's also a part of self-awareness. So once you get self-aware, it's not just what comes out, but it's also what you put in order for what's in you to actually even fully develop, so it can then come out of you. Right. Right. Come out of you differently. Right. Mm-hmm. And then it's also nurturing to you. So.
Yeah, you know, and I think about it, and this could come off sounding arrogant. I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but I know that I've been things in my life. Oh man, hurt my but I know I've been through some things in my life where I made some really dumb decisions. Like you can't really explain it. And a matter of fact, I think about like a pastor friend of mine said, you know, just plain and simple, bro. You ain't got to try to explain it to me, because the human heart is messy. You can sit here and try to explain it all, still won't make sense. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you, because that freed me up, because I felt like I needed to try and explain myself to everybody. But the fact of the matter is, like when it comes to the human heart, when you're making decisions out of your, well, we just gonna say the flesh or whatever your, you know, carnal desires, you know, we can take it there. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't gonna make sense. Like you. Mm-hmm. Because when you make a decision like that, you're gonna go against everything you care about, everything you believe. It's just because it's about what you want. And so, but the matter of the fact is, like, God has been so gracious to me. Because I mean, you know, I would think there's definitely things that I could have done worse, and there's situations and circumstances that could have been worse. But like, God has delivered me from some stuff, man. I could have lost my life. You know what I'm saying? I could have lost my life and lost my marriage, lost whatever thing was valuable and what I would say should have been a treasure or is a treasure. I could have lost it. I'm just telling you that. And just the process of going through and coming out on the other side, and you know, people would be like, "Oh man, how did you even navigate that?" It's like the stuff that's on the inside of me that I can only say that God placed there to help me, you know, grow and become a better man, a better husband, a stronger person. You know, when under pressure, I had to discover what that was. And now that I'm self-aware, I can now lean into it and be that more often than not, instead of just only when. I'm thankful to God because he saved me from myself.
Right.
I'm thankful too. Otherwise, I might not have known you. So.
Hey, bro. Yep. Facts. Right. But I think that's good, bro. Because like even, and I'm glad you brought that up, because it just brought back to mind, because you hit it and then kind of just went on. Right. Yeah. You said, and again, John, our mentor, evaluated experiences. Yep. Right. And basically what you did was you beautifully summed that up. because again, why self-awareness is so important. And again, going back and looking at your life, once you start getting that self-awareness, you start going back and looking at some things.
Right.
You start going back and reevaluating some things. You start looking back and be like, whoa, right? Some situations, some things that were taking place that, again, because of self-awareness in the journey that you're on, or even if you're just now starting it or you want to start it, that's what's going to happen. You're going to start going back now. And it's all about reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's all about the reflection, right? The law of the reflection, right? The mirror, right? Being able to go in and look at yourself really and say, okay, ooh, this is what I can learn. This is what could have happened. And then learning from those experiences.
Yeah, that's right.
Finding the lessons, right? And then it's one thing to evaluate, reflect on it. But then if you don't apply the lesson, and here's what I think, and I'm done, that has really that resonated with me when you were telling, kind of just giving that reflection, is that even now when I reflect back on some of the things that I've done, because here's the reality, I'll just be all the way gangster with you. Like, to be honest, bro, me and Shantae could have been cellmates. Facts. Right? Facts. But again, I didn't want to see blessed, but I was blessed, right? That I didn't go, that's not my testimony. That's not the journey or the path that I was on, right? But reflecting on those things, I've learned so much. And it's helped me in my self-awareness. One, on some things that, okay, bro, you got to think a little differently now. You can't do that no more. But on top of that, it's also giving me the opportunity to say, okay, what was your thinking then? Why were you thinking like that? Right? What was influencing your thinking? Who was influencing your thinking? Because the one thing about self-awareness is now it'll put you in a place to where you don't have to, you now have a better way of looking at things. Like, you don't have to deal with certain people, or you don't have to be in certain situations. You literally gain control of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So.
Yeah, man. And sometimes you just got to wrestle with it, you know? And when you were speaking, it made me think of something I tend to say. It's like, there's always a lesson in the loss. But sometimes those lessons don't always come easy, you know? And it was like, oh man, I'm thinking about how Jacob had to wrestle with the angel of spirit. And
bro, that's what I was just sitting here thinking. Like, yeah, you mess around and get your hip.
Like, sometimes you got to wrestle with that loss. I'm not going to let you go lost until I get what I need to know.
What I came for. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Literally was just sitting here thinking, like, bro, I hope he goes there. Because that's it. Now, he wrestled with him all night. I'm not letting go. Yeah. I mean, not until he just got busted in the leg, like, bah, let go. He's like, okay.
Yep.
Y'all gotta listen to that.
Until I get my
lesson.
Huh? Y'all gotta listen to that song, Jacob song. You ever heard that? Breed Babylon?
It don't ring.
No, I don't think so.
Man,
no.
That joint. Whoo, 5. She be 5 called Jacob song. But
Jacob song.
But yeah, you man, you guys blessed me today. That's what I wanted to say.
You blessed me, brother.
That's the impact of communication when you put it in proper perspective. Will have lasting impact.
Yeah.
And so whereas in the past I didn't understand the concept of communication and why it was important. My communication was done in my head. So now,
you must be a C. Are you a C? My bad.
Now what's in my head, because I've become self-aware of myself, starting just with my experience in prison, and then being understanding the assessment, the DISC assessment, the behavior, behavioral aspect of who I am now, or who I always was, just didn't realize.
Right.
You know, it's just phenomenal, right? The power of communication, and we communication. A form of communication is yelling or screaming or cussing somebody out. But that isn't the essence of communication, because when you communicate the proper way with people, lives begin to change. You know, I can think somebody's life's gonna change because I'm gonna cuss them out, right? But guess what? They might ignore me or just whatever, right? But if I talk younger people in the streets, if I, hey, how you doing, or walk by and say, hey, how you doing, I say, excuse me, it might not seem like there's going to be some impact there because they don't in the streets and doing what they do. But guess what? Most people understand respect at the end of the day, and we just need to remember that. You know, we need to do our part in the communication process.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And you know, as we kind of coming to a close tonight, you know, we talked about how, you know, the self-awareness and how it benefits us personally, and I think we mentioned at some point how it can help you become more aware of others as well and the differences. That's it plays out. It works perfectly because in your leadership, that's how you can kind of help raise them up too, right? To help them become aware of how they're wired, and they can benefit from this whole journey that you've already been on. And it makes me think, I actually just thought about my son. As I talk about him all the time. Like he's a huge inspiration in more ways than one. But like I try to pick up something this past week. I heard a parent talk about their child and say they have to encourage them to ask for what they want 100% of the time. And I was like, I needed that, because my son, he's naturally as he's growing, I'm noticing him being more reserved, and not only reserved, but he's also a lot of times passive in his communication. I'm like, what do you want, son? Just say what you want. So I'll just try to figure out ways to encourage him. Ask for what you want 100% of the time. We could be out somewhere and he'd be like, oh, Dad, did you see that cotton candy? I'd be like, yep, I saw it. Oh, man, it had pink and it had blue. I said, uh-huh, yep. He said, it looked good, didn't it? I said, boy, what do you want? Just say what you want. But I understand it, right? I'm aware, because I'm aware of how I'm wired. I can see and be more compassionate to him and say, hey, I understand where you're coming from. But all you need to do, I'm your father. All you need to do is ask for what you want 100% of the time. Now, that doesn't mean that you're always going to get what you want, but you have to be okay with either yes or no. And so when we're talking about this life and communication, this is not just about adults. You know what I'm saying? We can channel Lee and say age ain't nothing but a number. Matter of fact, we have assessments for kids ages 8 to 12. If you really about that life, that can really walk them through how they're wired, which is a perfect age to really jump into that. I would say as they're navigating the latter part of elementary, moving into middle school, when everything around them is going to make them question who they are and challenge what they believe and what they think and how they should behave. And I'll say that from my personal experience. Boy, I didn't know who I was in middle school, trying to fit in, trying to figure it out, trying to be cool. You know what I'm saying? And I know I'm not alone.
I was about to say, bro, I think I just figured myself out like last week.
So just imagine, like, if we had this tool, this resource at that age to say, oh, this is how I wired. This is why I make the decisions that I make. This is how I'm navigating, you know what I'm saying, responsibilities. It would have been a game changer. It would have been, because it would have been empowering, because otherwise you're just trying to figure it out. Of course, you have your parents there, your people that love you, or whoever's taking care of you that loves you, and they're trying to do what's best for you. But when you know that you know for yourself, it makes a total difference in how you respond to the world and everything